The police dog halted abruptly in the dark alley, refusing to proceed. His handler had never observed him behaving in this manner, but when backup arrived and revealed the truth, every officer was left shaken. Here's what transpired. Now, before we delve into today's story, please leave a comment below indicating where in the world you're watching from. And if you enjoy remarkable police dog stories like this one, be sure to click that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming next. A gentle rain fell across Portland's northwest district, covering the cobblestone streets in a glistening sheen that reflected the faint light of century-old street lamps. Officer Michael Reeves tugged at the collar of his police raincoat, the department patch on his shoulder dampened by the continuous drizzle. Alongside him, Axel, his 4-year partner and German Shepherd K9 officer, moved quietly through the night, his black and tan coat appearing unaffected by the weather. "Quiet night, huh, buddy?" Michael said, observing as Axel's ears twitched, continuously registering the urban soundscape of faraway traffic, the infrequent late-night pedestrian, and the rustle of rain against brick walls. 8 years on the force had shown Michael that beauty frequently masked danger, particularly in the twisting alleys located between Portland's celebrated buildings. Axel proceeded with military precision, each step calculated yet smooth, his training apparent in every motion. The shepherd's amber eyes surveyed their surroundings with a keen intelligence that occasionally made Michael question just how much his partner truly understood. K9-5, this is dispatch. We've got reports of suspicious activity near Westmore and Caldwell. The caller mentioned unusual noises from the historic district, possibly from behind the old Harrington building. Michael activated his radio. Dispatch, K9-5 responding. We are 2 blocks away. We will investigate. Probably just the usual, Michael said to Axel, his voice low. Someone taking shelter from the rain. Maybe some teenagers thinking they found a good spot to hang out. Portland's historic district was full of recessed doorways and forgotten maintenance alleys that regularly attracted both the homeless and thrill-seeking youths. As they neared the Harrington building, a restored brick structure dating back to the 1890s, Michael directed his flashlight beam across the building's exterior. "Let's check the back," he proposed, turning towards the service alley located behind the row of historic buildings. At that moment, everything shifted. Axel's demeanor instantly changed. The easy, assured walk disappeared, superseded by tense readiness. His ears moved forward, his tail became straight, and every muscle in his strong body tightened noticeably under his damp fur. Michael had observed his partner signaling the presence of suspects, drugs, and weapons before, but this felt unusual. There was no sign of eagerness or the expectation that usually came with a positive discovery. "What is it, boy?" Michael asked, quickly checking their surroundings for danger. Axel made no barking or whining sounds. He remained focused on the alley entrance, a quiet growl vibrating in his chest. The shepherd's actions caused a wave of unease to ripple through Michael, unrelated to the rain wetting his collar. "Dispatch K9-5. Michael spoke into his radio, the tightness in his voice evident. "We're at the alley off Westmore, behind the Harrington building. Something feels amiss. Axel is displaying atypical behavior, requesting another unit to help investigate the situation." The usually reliable dog took a cautious step backward, leaning against Michael's leg, a behavior he'd never displayed previously. In 4 years of confronting armed suspects, entering burning buildings, and traversing disaster scenes, Michael had never witnessed his partner show fear. The alley extended before them, resembling a tight canyon, bordered by the imposing brick walls of buildings erected in a different century. Metal fire escapes angled downwards along the building's walls, their stairs reflecting the faint light with a wet sheen. Michael's flashlight appeared to be absorbed by the surrounding darkness, failing to cut through it. "Axel, move forward," Michael ordered, his voice steady despite his rising apprehension. For the initial time in their collaboration, Axel paused before responding to a direct instruction. The shepherd advanced 2 hesitant steps into the alley, then halted abruptly, exhibiting not the watchful readiness of a dog sensing drugs or bombs, nor the defensive posture of one confronting danger. This was a wholly different reaction. Axel remained still, his form tense, his gaze fixed on something in the distance that Michael couldn't perceive. Michael recalled their training sessions at the academy. The instructor's words resonated in his thoughts. Dogs possess an ability to perceive not only what exists but also what is amiss, demonstrating a perceptive capacity that surpasses human comprehension. Should your K9 partner display behavior you have not previously observed, be vigilant. It could potentially save your life. Dispatch requesting immediate backup at my location. K9 is exhibiting unprecedented behavior. Something's very wrong here. Copy that. K95. Units 12 and 17 are responding. ETA 4 minutes. The sound of boots impacting puddles signaled the arrival of backup. Raindrops clung to officers Layla Torres and Keith Mercer as they stepped forward, their tactical flashlights illuminating the gloom. What's the situation, Reeves? Torres inquired, her hand naturally positioned on her holstered weapon as she surveyed the alley. It's Axel, Michael responded, indicating his motionless partner. We were answering the suspicious activity report when he simply halted. He won't advance, he won't go back. I've never witnessed him behaving this way. Mercer's eyebrows lifted in disbelief. We hurried here because your dog became startled? Could have been anything, another animal, an unusual odor. It's impossible to say. That's the point, Michael stated directly. Axel doesn't become startled. Not by animals, not by suspects, not by anything we've seen before. This is unlike anything we've experienced. The officers systematically searched the accessible area of the alley, checking behind dumpsters and inspecting doorways. Nothing apparent, Torres said after a few minutes. There were no indications of forced entry, no people present, and no apparent dangers. Almost immediately after, Axel emitted a quiet whine, a sound so unusual that the three officers became alert. The shepherd subtly changed his position, still hesitant to move forward, but now actively opposing Michael's mild attempts to guide him back to the road. We ought to report this as a false alarm, Mercer proposed, but he seemed unsure. Perhaps we should have Axel examined. Michael remained steadfast. We need to investigate further. Axel is never incorrect, merely sometimes anticipating what we comprehend. Could we have thermal imaging deployed here? The thermal imaging unit was received by Officer Dawson, the department's technology specialist. Rain fell on the equipment's protective case as he meticulously assembled it near their patrol vehicles. You're fortunate I was already in the field, Dawson stated, while calibrating the device. What precisely are we searching for? Anything unusual? Michael asked, looking back at Axel, who stayed in the same motionless state. He listed possibilities: people concealing themselves, surprising heat signatures, structural irregularities, anything that could account for Axel's reaction. Dawson agreed, lifting the thermal viewer to survey the alley. That's strange, he said softly, modifying the device's settings. I'm detecting cold areas alternating with warm areas further into the alley, which isn't typical heat distribution. The three officers proceeded cautiously, with Dawson consistently observing the thermal imaging device. Approximately 60 feet into the alley, the scanner detected a notable temperature difference close to the ground. At that point, Dawson indicated a section of wall partly hidden by a dumpster. He noted that area displayed an unusual thermal pattern, showing cold spots that were unexpected. Michael then shone his flashlight to the spot Dawson had shown. Initially, it seemed like a standard section of the building's foundation. However, a more careful look showed slight variations. The bricks didn't align with the primary wall's design, and a narrow line indicated what seemed to be a maintenance entrance. That's not documented in any of the building plans I've reviewed, Mercer stated, shifting the dumpster to gain a clearer perspective. And look at this. The beam of his flashlight revealed new scuff marks on the ground, indicating the recent movement of the large dumpster. The maintenance door's lock displayed indications of being forced, and the settled dust had been disrupted. Michael noticed something additional. A small symbol was etched into the metal frame of the door. It wasn't graffiti, but rather a carefully and deliberately created design. A circle encompassed a stylized eye with emanating lines. We need to document this, he stated, taking photos with his department-issued phone, and to call in additional units. Dispatch, we've located a concealed entrance showing signs of recent activity. requesting Detective Division and additional backup for further investigation. Copy that, Unit 17. Detective Division notified. Be advised, Detective Wright is responding personally. Detective Marcus Wright arrived 20 minutes later, his weathered face serious beneath the brim of a rain-speckled fedora. Wright, at the age of 53, held legendary status within the department. His 25 years of experience had fostered a nearly uncanny knack for linking seemingly unrelated pieces of evidence. I've witnessed this previously, Wright stated softly, gesturing above the carving without making contact. 3 cases within the past year, all related to trafficking activities. These are highly developed operations. The warrants have been approved. We are proceeding with complete tactical authorization. Drawing on patterns from comparable operations, this entrance probably connects to a tunnel system situated under the historic district. Several of these buildings originate from the 1890s, and the subterranean network was substantial, largely lost to memory until criminals located it again. The maintenance door gave way to specialized entry tools, exposing a confined stairwell leading downwards into darkness. A stale odor of aged brick and motionless air rose from below. Wright instructed Reeves, "Your partner remains here with Torres." Given his reaction, he added, "I don't want to risk." He was interrupted by Axel's sudden movement. After almost an hour of complete immobility, the shepherd padded forward, pausing at the entrance to the stairwell. His earlier fear appeared transformed into determined purpose. "I believe he wants to lead," Michael said, surprised by the change. Wright considered this. "Your call, officer. You know your partner best." The initial descent was spearheaded by Axel, with Michael, Wright, and 4 other officers following. Their flashlights revealed a passage that had undergone recent renovations. The original brick walls were reinforced with contemporary metal supports, and electrical conduit was installed along the ceiling, while the floor had been cleared of any obstructions. "Someone has invested resources here," Wright noted. "These aren't just casual trespassers." The passage stretched approximately 100 yards before widening into a more spacious area displaying evidence of recent use. Sleeping bags were carefully arranged against one wall. A portable generator remained still in the corner. Particularly unsettling were the restraints secured to another wall, several sets designed to accommodate various wrist sizes. Axel proceeded deliberately around the chamber, his nose working continuously, then centered his attention on a metal footlocker located beneath a temporary table. Michael carefully opened the container, revealing dozens of passports, ID cards, and personal effects. He reported, leafing through the documents, that they bore different names and nationalities, but the individuals appeared to be of similar ages, mostly late teens and early 20s. Wright examined a detailed map pinned to the wall. "Look at this," he said. It displayed the entire tunnel network with connections to at least 6 buildings above. They were utilizing the old bootlegger routes from Prohibition, supplemented by some newer additions. Axel stiffened again, turning toward one of the 3 tunnel entrances extending from the main chamber. This was a posture of readiness, unlike his previous stillness, that Michael recognized. The dog had identified something particular. "He's detected something," Michael told the others, drawing his weapon. "Fresh scent, I'm guessing." "Which tunnel?" Wright asked, moving to stand beside him. "The eastern one," Michael replied, referencing his position. Wright checked the map. "That leads toward the river. Approximately 200 yards ahead lies a significant intersection, branching into several paths." The detective swiftly decided, "We have sufficient resources for a complete operational deployment. I'm requesting tactical teams to secure the alternative access points." He pointed out several locations on the map. "Are we proceeding?" Michael inquired, observing Axel's growing anticipation. Wright nodded gravely. "Your partner reports the presence of something or someone newly arrived in that tunnel. Whether they were victims or suspects, action was necessary, and they weren't delaying." Axel guided them further into the tunnel system. His previous uncertainty vanished. The tunnel then led to a more expansive, roughly circular chamber, with 5 passages extending outwards, resembling spokes on a wheel. "We are directly under the Westmoreland building," Wright stated, checking a compact GPS device. "The former bank, dating back to the 1920s and now converted into luxury apartments, provided a perfect cover. Residents were constantly coming and going at all hours, and no one questioned deliveries or service visits. Axel circled the chamber, his nose working overtime, before settling precisely between two of the outgoing tunnels. This alert posture indicated he had found what he was searching for, but could not pinpoint a specific location. Both passages Michael interpreted with the sense originating from both directions. Wright divided their small team. Mercer, you and Jefferson proceed along the right passage with Reeves and Axel. Henderson and I will take the left, maintain radio contact every 2 minutes, and initiate an immediate call if you discover anything. The passage gradually widened again, indicating signs of more extensive renovation. After approximately 100 yards, they arrived at another chamber, this one clearly designed for human occupation. This room differed from the initial one they found. It had been transformed into a regulated environment. Sections separated by lockable doors ran along one wall. A complex computer system was situated on another. Filing cabinets, a medical examination table, and recording devices finished the unsettling display. Jesus, Mercer said, observing the scene. What the heck is this place? Michael remained silent, observing as Axel carefully examined the room, indicating particular cabinets and locations. Following his partner's direction, Michael located several passports and identification papers, each bearing different names but featuring identical photographs. Even more unsettling were the medical records, containing detailed examinations, blood analysis, and psychological evaluations. They're manipulating people here, Michael stated at last, the weight of realization dawning on him. Assessing them, establishing new identities, and readying them for the future. Jefferson had opened one of the file cabinets. Sir, you need to see this. The drawer held numerous folders, each marked with a name, date, and destination code. Affixed to each file was a photograph of a young person, most appearing frightened, disoriented, or unnaturally sedated. This isn't just trafficking, Wright stated from the doorway, having rejoined them after exploring the other passage. This was a complex operation. He displayed a leather-bound journal. Financial records were discovered in the other chamber, revealing millions of dollars in transactions. Axel persisted in his careful examination of the chamber, finally settling in front of a metal door located at the far end of the room. Another guarded location. This door differed from those previously found. It was heavier, secured with a modern electronic lock instead of a traditional deadbolt. There are people behind that door, Michael said, moving to join his partner. Wright examined the lock system. High-end security. They're keeping something valuable in there. Or someone, Mercer added. The detective pulled a specialized electronic bypass tool from his tactical vest. Standard override should work. Everyone ready? We don't know what's on the other side. Weapons drawn, the officers positioned themselves as Wright bypassed the security system. With a pneumatic hiss, the substantial door swung open, presenting a striking difference from the functional areas seen before. The room beyond enjoyed climate control and featured costly leather sofas, antique rugs, and modern artwork. A bar was situated in one corner, filled with high-end spirits. A large window seemed to dominate one wall, although the area visible through it was presently unlit. Wright approached a control panel located close to the viewing window. It wasn't a club, it was an auction house. He activated a button, revealing the space beyond the glass. The connected room held a small stage, encircled by theater-style seating accommodating roughly 20 people. Multiple camera angles were covered by mounted cameras, and a podium was positioned at the stage's center. They're selling them, Michael stated, the words tasting like bile in his mouth, selling people to the highest bidder. Axel maintained his alert posture. Without a doubt, his focus had heightened, his gaze moving from the auction room to a second door located at the far end of the VIP lounge. This second door opened into a hallway containing 6 rooms extending from it. Each room was compact, furnished with just a bed and minimal amenities. 5 remained unoccupied, but the 6th, call medical now, Michael instructed as he stepped into the last room. 3 people rested on thin mattresses, 2 young women and a boy who appeared to be no older than 14. All were unconscious, but alive, with intravenous lines connected to their arms from medical bags suspended on portable stands. Sedated, Wright observed, verifying one woman's pulse. The pulse was strong and steady. They would remain under sedation until transport or, he looked back towards the auction room, his expression tightening until they were sold. Michael heard updates from the tactical teams through his radio as they secured additional access points within the underground network. Early information showed that at least 2 suspects were caught attempting to escape via a service exit 4 blocks away. The medical team had just reached the 3 victims to provide care when Axel abruptly stood up, fur bristling. This was not his warning for discovering evidence or even sensing a concealed individual. This served as the initial response, a consequence of an urgent danger. Prior to any action, Axel rapidly entered an unmapped tunnel, his speed requiring Michael to run to maintain visual contact. "Axel, wait," he called, drawing his weapon while running. Correct, potential suspects were in motion. The tunnel made a sharp turn, dividing into smaller passages that indicated recent activity. Michael listened for Mercer and Wright's footsteps as they followed, the sounds bouncing off the walls of the underground maze, but his attention stayed fixed on Axel's quickly fading figure in front. The shepherd moved through the twisting passages with steadfast confidence, making turns without pause. Ahead, Axel's barking resonated back to them, shifting from the controlled quiet of tracking to the sharp warning that indicated he had trapped his target. The passage ended with a rough wooden staircase ascending to a trapdoor. Axel stood at the foot of the stairs, intently observing the ceiling, barking with great force. The trapdoor above them moved slightly, revealing a narrow beam of faint light around its perimeter. Axel's barking grew louder. Rather than opening completely, the trapdoor shut abruptly, accompanied by the noise of a substantial object being pulled across its surface from above. The sound of hurried footsteps faded, accompanied by worried voices. "They're running." Michael began climbing the stairs, but Wright seized his arm. "Wait," he cautioned. "They could be setting a trap." Simultaneously, a quiet electronic beep came from above, followed by the noticeable hiss of gas being emitted. "Back," Wright commanded. "Everyone evacuate this area. Immediately." They retreated, just as a poisonous cloud started to leak through the spaces around the trapdoor. Axel guided them to a point 30 yards behind, where the air was still clean. "CS gas likely," Wright stated. "They're attempting to impede our progress." Jefferson's radio emitted static. The perimeter team was reporting activity at the Sentinel building. 2 suspects were observed leaving through the loading dock, proceeding east on foot. Michael, without awaiting verification, followed his partner, relying on Axel's judgment instead of conventional reasoning. The constricted passage appeared to twist unexpectedly, scarcely wide enough for the officers to pass through in sections, yet it kept a consistent diagonal path. "Clever dog," Wright observed as they reached a broader passage that rose sharply upward. "This has to be an original bootlegger route, not documented on any of the current maps." The passage ended at a corroded iron ladder, leading to a round hatch above. Michael ascended first, exerting force against the substantial cover. The mechanism resisted briefly before yielding with a groan of protest, exposing the interior of what appeared to be an abandoned mechanical room. "We're in the basement of Arlington Place," he reported back, recognizing the distinctive marble flooring visible through a partially open door that's directly across from the Sentinel building. They moved swiftly through the deserted building. Following Axel's silent guidance, the dog moved quickly from one puddle to the next. Michael observed water splashes mirroring the rhythm of running footsteps that had rippled the standing water. They arrived on Eastman Street just in time to witness 2 individuals sprint across the road, 2 blocks distant, and vanish into the entrance of a parking garage. "That's them," Michael exclaimed, starting to run with Axel leading the way. "Dispatch. Suspects are entering the Westover parking structure from the Eastman Street side." On the 3rd level, Axel abruptly decreased his speed, assuming a stalking stance. Just around the bend of the ramp, obscured somewhat by a support column, 2 men were working intensely at a laptop computer linked to a small portable device. Documents and hard drives were strewn about, and one was carefully inserting papers into a handheld shredder. "Police, don't move," Wright announced, appearing with his weapon raised. The younger of the two men quickly raised his hands, his face paling, while the older one moved to retrieve something from under his jacket. Axel responded immediately, swiftly moving across the space with intense focus. Before the man could finish his action, the shepherd secured the suspect's wrist with a firm bite, applying the necessary pressure to restrain him without causing significant harm. Weapon. Michael alerted, observing the weapon that had fallen from the suspect's hand. Within seconds, both men were restrained face down on the concrete with their hands zip-tied behind them. The younger one had already begun speaking, his words pouring out in a frantic attempt to distance himself from his companion. "I just handle the tech," he insisted. "I set up the auction software, maintain the network. I never touched any of the merchandise. I mean, the people. It was all Kirsch's operation." The processing center located under Portland's historic district transformed into the city's most extensive crime scene in recent history. Over 3 days, teams of forensic specialists meticulously cataloged evidence, documented the facility's layout, and collected DNA samples, which ultimately aided in identifying numerous victims who had previously passed through the operation. The level of sophistication was particularly unsettling, Wright noted during a short respite. "The majority of trafficking operations we disrupt are spontaneous and lack organization. This operation, however, functions similarly to a Fortune 500 company, exhibiting a corporate structure, quality control measures, and customer service protocols. The victims were regarded as commodities, possessing defined specifications and warranties. The 5 rescued victims were transferred to a specialized trauma center, where medical professionals experienced in trafficking cases are working to stabilize them physically while initiating the significantly longer process of psychological recovery." Wright told Michael that the youngest one was speaking. Just briefly, but it provided a timeline. She had been abducted 6 days ago in Seattle, survived the initial processing, but hadn't yet appeared in their auction catalog. The evidence, obtained from the suspect's laptop, proved to be even more valuable than expected. The documents held more than just customer details and financial data. They included communication records connecting the Portland operation to related sites in Vancouver, San Francisco, and extending eastward to Chicago. "International task forces are already targeting 3 locations based on our intelligence," Wright stated. "The plan involves coordinated raids and simultaneous action to avoid alerting any warning systems." Regarding the symbol discovered, the eye with the radiating lines, Wright confirmed that it represents their branding. "This pattern has emerged in previous instances, though we didn't grasp its meaning at the time. We now recognize it as a marker for their high-end product range, a designation they use, not one I would apply." His reaction clearly showed his displeasure. Each line signifies a distinct service they provide. The largest operations possess the highest number of lines. The one discovered had 7, the greatest number we've ever recorded. 1 week later, Michael and Axel resumed their standard patrol duties. The officer's path intentionally steered clear of the historic district, where the investigation persisted behind police barriers and under the observation of federal agents. Chief Bennett had recognized their requirement to resume a regular routine following the heightened stress of the previous week. The morning presented crisp, clear conditions. Autumn sunlight illuminated Portland's trees with a golden hue as they patrolled their beat through Cathedral Park. Axel proceeded with his characteristic disciplined precision, yet Michael observed a slight alteration in his partner, possibly a greater alertness or a stronger trust in his own intuition. They halted close to the St. John's Bridge, its Gothic arches rising above the Willamette River. Michael released Axel's leash, granting him a short respite in the grass while remaining vigilant about their environment. "You change things, he said softly to the shepherd. "It wasn't just concerning those 5 we located, but for hundreds more. They would never meet." Axel looked up at him with those intelligent amber eyes that sometimes seem to understand far more than any animal should. The case had already resulted in coordinated raids in 3 cities, the rescue of 17 additional victims, and the identification of over 40 individuals involved in the trafficking network. Yesterday, Wright had informed me that the International Task Force was planning operations in 6 countries, utilizing evidence obtained from the Portland facility. It was all a consequence of my intervention in that alley. Michael reflected, observing as Axel's ears rotated to follow a passing jogger. It stemmed from my recognizing something amiss and choosing to speak out. Continuing their patrol, Michael reflected on the remarkable connection that has grown between humans and dogs throughout millennia of evolution. What insights from the past understood the value in these animals, not solely as hunters or guardians, but as companions capable of noticing details that humans might overlook. Have you ever felt that an animal perceived something beyond your own awareness? How do dogs such as Axel seem to detect threats that humans miss? We welcome your stories and opinions in the comments below. Do you think the connection between canine officers and their handlers extends past training, potentially reaching a level beyond our complete understanding? Please share your thoughts with our community. If this story of Axel's extraordinary discovery moved you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another tale of remarkable canine heroes. Share this video with anyone who appreciates the incredible capabilities of working dogs and the special humans who partner with them. Check out our previous canine stories appearing on your screen now, and we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time with another brand new video. Ash was trained to obey, particularly in perilous situations. However, as firefighters retreated from the collapsing apartment complex, he performed an unexpected act, broke free, and sprinted directly into the flames. All around, people yelled for him to halt, but when his handler, Alex Reed, pursued him and observed where the dog had led, the entire fire ground became still. What did Ash unearth from under the rubble, prompting even experienced firefighters to retreat? Please subscribe and leave a comment below, letting us know your location. Now let's begin. The search and rescue dog halted at a pile of rubble, remaining still despite the firefighters' instructions to exit the burning building. "Get your dog out of there," the chief demanded, until the animal began frantically digging through the debris. The entire rescue team was stunned when they uncovered what was hidden beneath. Before we begin today's story, please leave a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. If you enjoy remarkable dog stories like this one, be sure to click the subscribe button. You're going to want to see what's next. The first alarm shattered the quiet at Westside Fire Station 12 as dawn broke over the city. Firefighter Alex Reed quickly woke from his brief rest in the break room, his training kicking in as he put on his gear. The dispatcher's voice broke through the speakers, conveying clear urgency. "All units, please respond to 1400 Oakwood Terrace. Apartment complex fire, multiple floors involved, with possible entrapments reported." Alex's hands moved with practiced efficiency, securing each strap and buckle as Chief Martinez issued orders across the bay. Then, as he prepared himself, his eyes sought out his partner. Ash, a 4-year-old Belgian Malinois with intelligent amber eyes, was already alert, his muscular body tensed in anticipation. The search and rescue dog displayed no uncertainty, unlike the humans nearby. He showed only focus and readiness. "Ash, gear up," Alex called, and the dog immediately trotted to where his specialized vest hung. The reflective harness displayed the marks of 3 years of service, small burns, tears mended with careful stitches, and patches replaced following difficult rescues. Each mark represented stories of lives saved and perils confronted together. As Engine 12 started, Alex secured Ash in the rescue vehicle. Captain Jenkins looked back from the driver's seat, his aged face serious. Dispatch stated the situation was critical. It involved a 5-story complex. The fire began on the 2nd floor, but flames were now visible from 3 sides. From his position, Alex already observed a column of thick black smoke rising against the dawn sky, creating an ominous silhouette against the awakening city. A familiar tension tightened his chest. It wasn't fear, but the focusing edge of adrenaline that sharpened his senses. Beside him, Ash's breathing remained steady. His eyes remained fixed forward, as if he could already see the task ahead. They rounded the final corner onto Oakwood Terrace, and the disaster revealed itself. The Ridgewood Apartments, housing over 50 families, had become a rapidly spreading fire. Flames were visible from the windows on the 2nd and 3rd floors, climbing upward with alarming speed. Outside, residents stood in night clothes, some wrapped in blankets, others in stunned silence as they observed their homes burning. Chief Martinez was establishing command as Alex exited the truck with Ash at his heels. Engine 12, initiate water supply. Ladder 7, east side evacuation. Read, prepare Ash. Verify missing persons on floors 3 and 4. Alex swiftly knelt beside Ash, ensuring the proper fit of his protective booties and specialized respirator mask designed to filter smoke particles. Ready to save lives, buddy? He asked, looking into those intelligent eyes that displayed only determination. Ash responded with a single focused bark, their established routine before entering any fire scene. Firefighting operations proceeded with disciplined urgency surrounding them. Water lines stretched across the pavement, ladder trucks were positioned strategically, and teams of firefighters moved with purpose. However, for Alex and Ash, the focus narrowed to a single mission: to locate those unable to escape. The stairwell was a chimney of heat and smoke as they ascended. Alex kept one hand on the railing and the other on Ash's specialized lead, although the dog required little guidance. Amidst the disarray of fire alarms and flames engulfing the building, Ash moved with a determination that appeared almost unreal to those unfamiliar with search dogs in action. 4th floor first, Alex instructed through his mask, his words barely discernible above the din of the emergency. 3 years prior, Alex couldn't have envisioned this partnership. Following the loss of his previous search dog, Max, in a warehouse collapse, he had vowed to discontinue working with the canine division. The guilt remained intense, the memories too difficult. He'd moved to regular firefighting responsibilities, resolved to protect his heart from further connections. Then came the shelter visit that altered everything. Ash had been found abandoned in a foreclosed home, severely malnourished, but still full of life. Something in the dog's steadfast gaze broke through Alex's carefully built barriers. The shelter worker had said this one knew what it meant to be trapped, and to be found. Now, as they reached the 4th floor, that same determined spirit guided Ash through conditions that would have disoriented most humans. The smoke was so thick that Alex's flashlight created more glare than illumination, but Ash navigated confidently, his nose working through his specialized mask to filter scents from the smoke. Alex shouted, initiating the standard call, though it was likely futile against the fire's roar. But protocol dictated it. Ash suddenly veered left, heading toward apartment 403. The door was closed, but intensely hot, suggesting a fire inside. Alex signaled Ash to retreat, then breached the door using his halogen tool. A surge of heat and black smoke poured out, briefly pushing them back, but Ash quickly regained his focus, guiding Alex through the confusing darkness of what had previously been a family living room. Fire department, is anyone here? Alex repeated, scanning the area with his thermal imaging camera. The furniture was now completely ablaze, transforming the apartment into a labyrinth of flames. Ash emitted a sharp, warning sound and pulled them toward a bedroom door. Alex followed, relying on his partner's senses more than the restricted view his equipment offered. Upon reaching the door, he discovered it was stuck, likely due to heat distortion or an obstruction within. Step back, Ash, he instructed, then forcefully impacted his shoulder against the door several times until it yielded. The bedroom was not as heavily engulfed in flames, but was filled with dangerous smoke. 3 small figures were huddled together on the floor, in the corner farthest from the door. A woman held 2 children, and all were unconscious. I've got victims in 403, Alex reported over his radio, already moving toward the family. The mother and 2 children were unresponsive. Time felt compressed into a series of urgent actions. Alex checked for pulses, all were present but weak. He briefly placed his own mask over each child, allowing them a few seconds of pure oxygen before resuming his own breathing. Using practiced motions, he lifted the smaller child onto his left shoulder and instructed Ash to secure the specially designed pull sleeve on the second child's pajamas, a rescue method they had refined through numerous training exercises. Carrying the mother proved too difficult while also handling the child and the dog, but further firefighters were already en route to his call. 2 members of Ladder 7 emerged from the smoke, appearing like figures in their protective gear. I've got the mother, one stated, already lifting her. You get the kids out. The return trip through the burning apartment was a perilous path, filled with falling debris and rapidly spreading flames. Ash didn't pause, keeping a steady hold on the child's pole sleeve as he moved through the disorder. This was when his preparation proved valuable, the skill to resolve an issue on his own while still obeying Alex's instructions. They arrived at the stairwell just as a portion of the ceiling fell behind them, sending sparks showering over their backs. The children were starting to awaken, a positive indication, but the building was failing quickly. "Move! Move!" Alex implored, addressing both his human co-workers and to Ash. Descending the staircase proved quicker but riskier than climbing up, as the fire had weakened the building's structure. At last, they emerged through the exit into the comparatively secure staging area, where paramedics were present. Alex released the children into the care of the medical staff, observing as oxygen masks were placed over their faces. Ash loosened his hold on the pole sleeve only when Alex gave the command, then stood watch nearby as the medical team worked. The radio crackled with new urgency. "All interior teams, be advised, we have reports of an elderly couple still missing in 312. Anyone available to check?" Alex met Ash's gaze, who appeared completely unfazed by the ordeal they just survived. Despite the heat and exertion, the dogs stood ready, awaiting the next command. Rescue 4 responding, Alex reported, Reed and Ash heading to the 3rd floor. This was their established pattern, their objective, a recurring sequence of risk and rescue that characterized their partnership. They returned toward the burning building with minimal pause, taking only a quick drink of water each, unswayed by the flames now visible from nearly every window. The 3rd floor presented a devastated scene of fallen ceiling tiles, shattered glass, and flame-damaged furniture. The building's sprinkler system had activated, but was clearly inadequate, creating a disturbing imitation of rainfall that transformed the smoke into a hazardous mist instead of suppressing the fire. 312 should be to the right, Alex muttered, primarily to himself as Ash headed in that direction. The heat pressed against them, a palpable force, straining the boundaries of both man and dog's protective gear. Alex's thermal sensors indicated excessively high ambient temperatures. Time was limited before the environment became unsustainable. Ash halted outside apartment 312, his posture indicating a heightened state of readiness. The door was already ajar, probably due to previous evacuation efforts. Alex pushed it open further, and his halogen tool illuminated an apartment beginning to be engulfed by fire. "Fire department! Shout out!" Unexpectedly, a weak voice responded from within. "Help! We are here. Bathroom." Without being told, Ash moved towards where the voice originated. There, they discovered an elderly man kneeling beside the bathtub, his wife lying unconscious, a damp towel covering her face in a frantic effort to reduce the smoke. With assistance from further firefighters, who arrived promptly, they safely evacuated the elderly couple through a fire escape, coinciding with that part of the building exhibiting signs of potential collapse. Almost immediately after Alex's boots made contact with the concrete, a loud groaning signaled the partial collapse of the building's eastern section, exactly where they had been only moments before. "All personnel accounted for?" Chief Martinez's voice resonated over the radios and throughout the staging area. A rapid series of confirmations then followed as team leaders checked the safety of their team members. Alex examined Ash carefully, using familiar motions to check for any hidden injuries. Finding none, he took off the dog's breathing mask, allowing Ash to breathe easily in the comparatively fresh air outside. "You did well, buddy," he said softly, offering water from a specialized bottle. "Really well." Chief Martinez arrived, his face covered in soot under his helmet. "You and Ash take 15. Position yourself on the southwest corner with Engine 3. We will be taking a defensive posture around the entire structure. The building is too severely damaged to allow for any additional entries." Alex acknowledged, appreciating the short break. He led Ash to the rehabilitation station where Dr. Chun, the department veterinarian, was already present, having been summoned for the significant incident. "Let me see him," Dr. Chun stated, quickly assessing Ash's respiratory rate and inspecting his paws for burns. "He is exhibiting mild heat stress, but it is not serious. Ensure he remains hydrated and in the shade for at least 15 minutes. All residents accounted for?" Alex asked a nearby officer who was updating the incident board. As far as we can tell, she replied, checking her clipboard. The building manager confirmed all apartments evacuated or searched, 17 to hospital, no confirmed fatalities. Alex felt the familiar mixture of exhaustion and relief that came with a successful evacuation. He turned to tell Ash the good news, but noticed the dog's behavior had shifted dramatically. The easygoing stance of a working dog, enjoying a deserved rest, had vanished. Instead, Ash stood stiffly, ears pricked, eyes locked on the burning building with an intensity Alex readily understood. "Ash, what is it?" he asked, instantly aware of the change. The dog whined, a sound seldom heard from the trained rescue animal, and advanced several steps toward the burning building before glancing back at Alex with unmistakable urgency. "There's no one else in there, buddy," Alex said, attempting to reassure him. "We got everyone out." Yet, even as he spoke, a chilling sense of foreboding arose within him. In 3 years of partnership, he had never once seen Ash incorrect regarding a possible victim. Should the dog suspect someone was still present, then someone was, irrespective of the official headcount. Ash barked sharply, the sound piercing the noise of the fire scene. Subsequently, the bark was more insistent. "Whoa, settle him down," advised Lieutenant Wilson, who had been assigned temporary handling duties, while Alex prepared to join the exterior firefighting efforts. "He's likely just reacting to all the stimulation." Wilson attempted to grasp Ash's leash, but the dog retreated, barking with rising intensity, his gaze fixed on the burning building. "Something's wrong," Alex stated, already reaching for his equipment. "He doesn't act like this. Never." Before Wilson could retrieve the leash, Ash reacted, propelling himself forward with such unexpected power that the clasp securing his harness to the lead broke apart. Within a moment, the rescue dog was sprinting across the fire ground, maneuvering between firefighters and equipment with unwavering focus. "Ash!" Alex yelled, a wave of dread washing over him as he observed his partner heading toward the structure, completely consumed by fire. "Ash, stop!" But the dog had already moved through a ground-floor entrance, disappearing into the smoke and flames without pause. "Mayday! Mayday!" Alex shouted into his radio, already heading for his equipment. "Canine officer has re-entered the building. East entrance, ground floor." The response was immediate and incredulous. "Say again, Reed." "Your dog went back in," they stated. Alex was quickly attaching his oxygen tank, skipping standard checks due to his urgency. "Affirmative. Ash has re-entered. He's detecting something, suggesting someone might still be inside." "Negative on re-entry, Reed." Chief Martinez's immediate order came. "The building is structurally compromised. I repeat, do not enter that building." Despite the urgency, Alex's hands remained steady as he fastened his mask and helmet. 3 years of partnership, hundreds of hours of training, and dozens of live rescues had instilled in him a fundamental understanding. Ash never erred concerning victims. If the dog indicated someone was present, then someone was there. Official headcounts were irrelevant. With respect, Chief, Alex responded, already moving toward the building. "My partner is inside, and he has located something. I'm entering the structure." "Reed, stand down." Martinez's voice boomed, reaching both the radio and the staging area, as he noticed Alex's action. "That is a direct order." For a fleeting instant, Alex paused, 15 years of trained obedience clashing with the firm belief that his partner required his help. Then, a recollection surfaced. Max, his initial partner, had been lost because Alex had obeyed a withdrawal command instead of following the dog's intuition. "I cannot, sir," he responded succinctly, and he entered the smoke. The building's interior was almost unrecognizable compared to just 20 minutes prior. What had been a hazardous but passable structure was now a scene of collapsed ceilings, burning furniture, and structural beams dangling overhead. The temperature had climbed to levels straining his protective gear. The air was so intensely hot that each breath felt like inhaling fire despite his SCBA. Alex called, his voice muffled by his mask and the constant roar of the fire. "Ash." Navigating by memory and instinct, he pushed toward where apartment 104 should be, the direction Ash had headed. Visibility was near zero, forcing him to stay low and move by feel as much as sight. His thermal imaging camera showed little beyond an overwhelming field of heat signatures from the fire itself. A partial ceiling collapse compelled him to withdraw briefly, locating an alternative passage through what had previously served as a first-floor community room. The ticking clock was a significant challenge, not only due to the increasingly hazardous building conditions but also because of his dwindling air supply. His tank indicated he had approximately 15 minutes remaining before he would be compelled to retreat or risk suffocation. "Bark if you hear me, Ash," he called out, hoping the instruction would prompt a reply he could track. Initially, there was only the chaotic noise of a collapsing building. Then, a distinct bark echoed from within, and Alex focused on the sound, advancing with determination. After 3 minutes of cautious movement, he reached a corridor unfamiliar to him. Fallen support beams had broken through the ceiling, forming a dangerous path of burning wreckage. The temperature was exceptionally high, and the faceplate of his mask was exhibiting clear signs of heat stress. Another bark, closer now, directed him onward. Finally, through a haze of smoke, Alex observed a recognizable figure. Ash, partially hidden by scattered wreckage, yet undeniably alive and working with considerable urgency. "Ash, thank God!" Alex exhaled, swiftly approaching to reach his comrade. What he discovered stunned him utterly. Ash surveyed a large accumulation of rubble, seemingly from a collapsed interior wall and ceiling. The dog was digging and pulling at the debris, stopping briefly to look back at Alex with a desperate, urgent expression. Someone was trapped beneath. Alex knelt beside Ash, working quickly to move the debris that had so agitated the dog. "Good boy," he said, even as his gloved hands tore at shattered drywall and splintered wood. "Show me, Ash. Show me where." Ash increased his efforts in a particular area, his nose working tirelessly despite the dense smoke. Alex concentrated his efforts there as well, disregarding the precarious sounds of the building around them and the decreasing air pressure indicated on his gauge. Almost overlooking it when his glove brushed against an unexpected object, Ash's urgent calls redirected his focus. Working with urgency, Alex cleared more debris and located what Ash had identified. A human hand, small and delicate, was visible beneath the rubble. With a racing heart, he checked the wrist, hoping for a sign that seemed unlikely given the circumstances, and felt it a pulse, faint but discernible. "I've got a victim," he announced into his radio. Adrenaline flooded his system, causing his voice to waver. "First floor, east corridor under collapse. Victim is alive. Repeat, live victim." With painstaking effort, he removed more of the wreckage, exposing more of the person trapped, a teenage girl who was unconscious but alive. Her face was partially shielded by what looked like a bathroom door that had fallen at an angle over her. "Hang on," he murmured, knowing she couldn't hear him. "We're going to get you out." The scene was intensely difficult. He could now see her clearly. However, substantial portions of wall and ceiling still held her lower body. Moving the victim without the right tools created a risk of additional injury or a potential destabilization of the entire collapse section. A loud groaning from above signaled a possible further collapse. Simultaneously, his air gauge indicated a 5-minute warning. He faced difficult decisions. Remain with the victim and risk all 3 of them being buried, or leave to seek assistance, with the possibility of returning to find the girl crushed by a subsequent collapse. The choice was made for him when Ash abruptly stiffened, ears pointed towards the hallway. Shortly after, the welcome appearance of 2 firefighters in full gear appeared from the smoke. "Over here," Alex called, a wave of relief washing over him. "We have a live victim." The RIT team reacted swiftly, evaluating the situation with practiced efficiency. "We need to reinforce this before extraction," the leader decided. "Hansen, retrieve the portable stabilizers from your pack." Collaborating, the 3 firefighters meticulously placed emergency bracing to avoid additional collapse while they rescued the trapped girl. Ash remained nearby, his presence offering an unusual sense of reassurance within the chaotic scene, as he persistently monitored the girl. On 3, the RIT leader instructed when they were prepared. 1, 2, 3. They raised the heaviest piece of debris jointly, enabling the second team member to swiftly extract the girl. Alex quickly rechecked her vitals. She was still alive, though her breathing was shallow and labored. "Let's move now," the leader ordered. "This whole section is going to collapse any second." Alex scooped the girl into his arms while the RIT members gathered their equipment. She was lighter than expected, likely no more than 15 or 16 years old. Her right leg was at an unusual angle, clearly broken, and a jagged piece of glass had become lodged in her shoulder. Although she sustained injuries, smoke inhalation presented the most pressing danger to her. Guided by Ash, they commenced their withdrawal through the burning structure. The dog's search and rescue training, now focused on locating an escape route, proved invaluable, a skill that had previously saved numerous lives, including those of fellow firefighters, facing swiftly evolving circumstances. As they retreated, the ceiling collapsed entirely, unleashing a wave of dust and debris that pursued them along the corridor. The building was nearing the end of its structural failure, complete collapse now unavoidable. Alex's air supply emitted its last alert sound as they neared what had previously been the building's primary entrance. His vision was starting to narrow, potentially due to lack of oxygen or intense fatigue, but he would not release his grip on the girl. Ash remained slightly ahead, finding a path through the smoke with remarkable accuracy. Following what felt like an endless amount of time, a rectangular area of lighter gray emerged within the pervasive black smoke, signifying the exit. Alex, using his remaining strength, advanced forward, with Ash providing steadfast guidance during those essential final steps. They broke through the doorway into the comparatively brighter environment outside. They emerged through a dense cloud of smoke, just as another portion of the building crumbled behind them with a deafening crash. The shift from the inferno to the open air was startling, from a deafening roar to the organized chaos of the command area. For a moment, Alex simply stood there, the unconscious girl cradled in his arms, Ash pressed against his leg. All three of them appeared as living sculptures of ash and exhaustion. "We need a medic?" someone shouted, and suddenly they were surrounded by paramedics, hands reaching for the girl, voices overlapping in a rapid assessment. A female adolescent, approximately 15 to 16 years of age, Alex reported as he gently transferred her to the waiting gurney. She was found unconscious, with shallow breathing, a weak but present pulse, a fractured right femur, and a laceration to her left shoulder with embedded glass. Probable smoke inhalation was also noted. While preparations were underway to transfer the girl to the ambulance, Alex observed something held in her hand, a small silver locket, its chain wrapped firmly around her fingers, seemingly the most valuable thing she possessed. "Wait," he stated, indicating it, "ensure that remains with her. Could be significant." Only then did Alex permit himself to be directed towards the medical assessment area, Ash walking with a slight limp beside him. Dr. Chun went directly to examine the dog, while another paramedic urged Alex to sit down and accept oxygen. A second-degree burn was observed on his left flank, Dr. Chun reported, carefully cleaning the injury. Minor burns were present on all four paw pads, even with the boots. He is severely dehydrated and showing signs of smoke inhalation, but his condition is not critical. "Both of you need treatment," stated Chief Martinez, whose voice was stern, as he arrived amidst the organized chaos of the scene. His face held a complex blend of anger and satisfaction. "Sir, I can explain," Alex started, but Martinez interrupted. "You disregarded instructions, put yourself and the RIT team at risk, and broke established procedures," he said, adding, "all of which we will review once medical personnel confirm you are both stable." His expression eased a little. Was Ash correct? The girl? Was she at the location he specified? Alex confirmed the precise location, buried beneath collapsed debris within the former apartment 104. Conventional search and rescue efforts would not have led us to her. 2 weeks later, Alex and Ash were at Westside Fire Station 12 for an event that had been presented as a modest acknowledgement of their actions. The station's apparatus bay had been decorated with department flags and arranged with rows of chairs intended for city officials, emergency services representatives, and members of the media. While the mayor presented citations for extraordinary service, the station doors opened, revealing unexpected guests, Thomas and Jennifer Harmon, and notably, their daughter, Lily. The teenager moved carefully, using crutches. Her broken leg was encased in a cast adorned with numerous signatures. "We heard about today's recognition," Thomas said. Lily emphasized her desire to be present. The teenager approached Ash, who remained in a formal seated posture, but couldn't hide a subtle tail wag indicating he recognized her. "The doctors say I can return to school next week," Lily told Alex. "I still need physical therapy for my leg, but my lungs are almost completely recovered." She awkwardly lowered herself despite using her crutches to be at the dog's eye level. "I brought something for you," she said, reaching into her pocket. She crafted a miniature replica of her grandmother's silver locket, designed to fit on a dog's collar. "It's not the original," she clarified. "That remains with me, but I wanted Ash to have something as well." She looked at Alex. "Would it be all right to fasten it to his collar?" With deliberate movements, Lily secured the small silver locket to Ash's collar. "Now you'll always have a reminder of the life you saved." Subsequently, while traversing the well-known hallways of Station 12, Captain Jenkins approached them. "Welcome back, you two. Ready to get to work?" Alex looked down at Ash, who responded with that characteristic look of complete preparedness, the working dog's version of excitement restrained by training. "Yes, sir," Alex replied, experiencing a sense of completeness for the first time since their experience. "We're ready." Have you ever observed an animal detect something that humans entirely overlooked? It's striking how their instincts can occasionally detect dangers that remain unnoticed by our presumed advanced senses. What action would you have taken if you were in Alex's position? Would you have trusted your partner's instincts enough to risk everything? If you've ever developed a special connection with an animal, you know that communication extends beyond commands and training. Has a pet or working animal ever surprised you with their intelligence in a critical moment? If today's story resonated with you, please click the like button to assist us in reaching a wider audience of animal enthusiasts. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more captivating canine narratives, and tap the notification bell to stay informed about our latest uploads. Kindly share this video with friends and family who admire the incredible skills of working dogs. Be sure to view our additional stories about brave dogs currently playing, including the remarkable account of a tracking dog who located a lost Alzheimer's patient during a blizzard. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another brand new video.